Welcome. Today we are in the Art Studio Gallery of Kim Ray in Londonderry, Vermont, and I hope you enjoy our show. Kim, tell me about when you first came to Vermont. I know you and I met, I think it was probably like in 1975 or so.
That's right.
And where did you come from and how did you end up in Vermont?
Well, I grew up in Massachusetts, and actually I was born in Winchester, Mass. And then I grew up in Concord, Massachusetts. And from there, how I got to Vermont was my stepmother had a house in Dorset, Vermont. And so when we were younger, we used to come up and just love Vermont and visit it, and just visit Manchester and that sort of thing. And then when I got out of school, I said I would love to live in Vermont. It was just such a beautiful place, and I always loved animals and just kind of a country life. So I decided that's where I'd like to grow up and live.
And you came to South Londonderry?
I actually came to South Londonderry.
And what brought you here? What brought you to this
Well,
area?
I think because of the Dorset connection, and then I had met some people and friends that lived in this area as well. So it was just a good choice. And basically I've lived here ever since, and have almost lived in the same house. I've only lived in two houses, so I don't travel very stable.
Rock of Gibraltar.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
And you've always been very artistic.
Yeah.
And you've also worked extensively with young children and incorporated your artwork with kids. So
That's
tell me
right.
about that.
So after I moved to Vermont, I went back to college and I got my degree in education. And I started teaching art, and as well as Montessori school, but I would do it hand in hand. I would teach Montessori, and then on the weekends or holidays, I would teach at Southern Vermont Arts Center, Frog Hollow. And I did that probably at Montessori I was there for 17 years, and then I probably taught before art classes, probably about 12 years at that time. And
so what time frame is this? This is mid-'80s?
Yeah, 80s, 90s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then in the 1990s, I think it was the later 1990s, I started to teach at Maple Street School as their very first art teacher, and I worked there for 2 years. And that was a great experience. I really loved it. It was a private school. Well, it still is a private school in Manchester, and I worked with a great group of people, and the directress was great, Nancy Colicchio, and it was the same kind of thing as just instilling creativity in children and developing that through all different types of art media experiences, and all the teachers worked together to develop that across the curriculum. So it was a great place to work. And then after I did that teaching there, I decided to take a year off. And when I took a year off, people asked me to paint murals. And because before that I had done a few murals, and then all of a sudden people just said, oh, will you do this and that? And the timing was just perfect because there was quite a bit of building being done in Vermont and Manchester. There was a lot of new homes, and I think it was kind of like a Vermont Renaissance, because they were having all this beautiful woodworking and just everything that you can imagine in homes.
So tell me about murals. What defines a mural?
Well, for me, the murals that I paint are murals that are done, well, either for inside or outside, but they're they're not the larger building murals that you see in the city, like things that are done, directly on an outside environment wall. Mine are more interior kind of murals,
And this
like
is
a
an
fine art.
example of one of your
Yes, yep.
pieces
This
right
is
here.
actually a ceiling mural, and this one is painted on canvas. So I do quite a bit of work on canvas, or I can do it on a wall. This piece is actually on canvas, is actually going on a ceiling in New York City, in an apartment there. And one of the nice things about painting on canvas is that physically it's a lot easier on your body than it is to paint it with consideration to your neck. And it's a very physical thing, and you can get quite a bit more detail as well, painting it.
Do you paint this on the vertical as we see it here?
Yes, yep. I paint it like that, and it just is easier also to, if you're going to apply it, or you can remove it from the ceiling if you want to change a location, or if you move. So for your investment into a ceiling mural or any kind of mural, sometimes canvas or panels really work out well. So,
How many murals would you say you've painted at this point?
oh my goodness, I don't know. I've had so many different commission pieces. So some of them are more defined as murals, where others are paintings, or just, I've painted really interesting things like bathtubs and vanities and clawfoot tubs, and just about anything that doesn't move I've painted. So if you consider all those different commission pieces since 1995, I don't know, hundreds. Yeah, I would have never counted them all.
And you have a number of pieces that are very public and very well displayed. You have right down here on the side of Clark's IGA, you have a large seasonal mural, which you did a few years ago.
Right.
Tell me about that. The governor came
Yeah.
for the...
That was an exciting piece. Usually how it all starts is that I'll see this wall, and I was like, oh.
Need
if
to do
it's-
something.
Right, it's blank. So I asked Bobby Waite, who owns the shopping center, I said, oh, what do you think about a mural? And so he was like, And then he said, that's a pretty good idea. So we moved forward, and then we wanted to really keep a Vermont theme, where we have so many different people that come, tourists, as well as local people that really value why they live in Vermont. So we decided to do the 4 seasons, and then have the coat of arms, which is the Vermont coat of arms, in the center. And so when we finished, when I finished the mural, we said, well, we should have a celebration. So I said, that's a great idea, because a lot of times after I paint, we have mural celebrations, but this one was really special because we wanted to include the town. And so I told Bobby Waite, I said, well, I think I'm going to invite the governor. So.
And that was Jim Douglas at that time?
Jim Douglas, yeah. And so I just sent him an email, and never really thinking that he would say yes, and he said yes. So it was pretty exciting. I got really nervous after that. I was like, oh my gosh, the governor's coming. So it made our party a little bit bigger and
what
very
year was
exciting.
that?
Oh God, I think that was 2000, I'm gonna say 12? No, 10. 2010, I think, yeah.
A little while
Right,
ago.
yeah, a little bit ago, a couple of years ago. So.
And you've done a number of that are equally well recognized. You've done several in the Northshire bookstore, which are wonderful, and incorporating kids' stories. And
those were actually really fun to paint. The one in the lobby as you walk into Northshire, I think that was painted in 2006.
And that was painted on that
Yeah,
surface, right?
that
You were
was
working in the lobby
Yes.
with people. Must have been nuts. People must have been stopping all the time.
Well, it was really a really great experience for me.
Didn't a cooking show come out of that experience?
That's how a Nat TV cooking show came out of that experience. That's right, John. So,
and you are a wonderful cook as well as an artist.
not really. What happened was I was painting in the lobby, and people would just come in and out all the time, and it was really fun. And there was little kids would come, and older people would come in, and everybody, as I was painting it, progressed. And so each part of the mural, somebody would be attracted to. So it wasn't necessarily everybody liked one section. And I'll get back to the cooking show.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah.
I'm not going to let that slide.
Yeah, I know. And so it was just great. So in the mural, as you walk in, it's books will take you to faraway places. That's the theme. And so I sat down with Barbara and Ned Morrow and Chris Morrow, and we worked out a composition. And then we really wanted to include everybody that worked at the bookstore into the mural itself. So the staff chose all their favorite books. So when you walk into the entrance of the bookstore, you'll see all these amazing books. And each book there is very significant to somebody that either works at the bookstore or, or a family member of the bookstore. So
that's a sweet part of the story that I didn't even know.
It was great. And a couple of the people their books I did put into the mural, they actually came in and they were so thrilled to see their books in the mural. And one person gave me 2 copies of a book that that he had written, and it's of 3 little children, which are Chris Morrow's 2 children, and the other little boy is in the mural is an employee's son, and then it opens up into the sky. So it's just like how books open up the world for you.
Sounds like that's one of your favorite murals, maybe.
When I'm painting them, I love each one's my favorite, but that's definitely a highlight for sure. Just because of all the people that I interacted with, and then I would have regular people that would come back and visit to see how I was doing.
And that was one of your earlier pieces, right? What year was that painted?
I think around 2006. Yeah, so that was kind of at the beginning, because I started painting full-time in 2001. And then, so that was a few years into it, but it was, and it was actually a bit of a challenging piece too, because basically what they were trying to do is beautify the entrance, and it was 2 doors and a telephone booth and an air conditioning unit.
Right.
So, and they wanted to hide that. So it wasn't actually a mural that I could paint on canvas and then install over something that didn't look well. So, so we decided to just do it over there. So I said, sure, I could do it. That's, I can try it anyway. So, but it worked out really well, and I think it really solved their problem of, trying to cover what was there and beautify it, and
you must have gotten a lot of recognition for that piece, because it was in such a public place.
That has been a really great piece.
Did that generate a lot of additional work for you?
It has generated a lot of work for me, and some other significant murals as well. So last year I actually painted a Scottish ceiling mural.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. That was a challenging piece. To tell us a little bit about that. You had octagonal.
Right. There were actually 8 panels, lower panels, but they consisted of a triangular piece at the top, trapezoid shape at the bottom, and then trying to do a composition that would really be strong throughout each piece and carry the theme through. And the theme was actually from the 15th century of Scotland, and during their Renaissance period of when they did decorative painting on ceilings, and they called them painted ceilings, and then they would have strap work in between that had decorative painting in them. And their original sketches were actually from printmakers of that time period in the 1400s. So it was a really great learning experience for me, and that's what I find with most of my murals. I have to do quite a bit of research and investigation and learn about what I'm painting in order to even compose a composition.
Yeah, that one took a lot of work. Anthony, who you were painting for, is Scottish.
Right.
And so he was providing a lot of the subject matter for the
Yeah,
mural,
well,
right?
yeah,
And a lot of
for the mural. And actually, the inspiration for the mural was several castles in Scotland. There was Forda Castle, which was, I think, one of the main inspirations, then Crathy's Castle, which was another castle where they had very historic prints. So all of the images are historic that I painted in this mural, but they're kind of arranged through my artistic license to really make each piece strong, but also to have a story. He had on the bottom, 4 of the panels have Gaelic, which mean have different things. He had a Robert Burns poem, which is a grace, a Robert Burns grace. And then on the others, there's like kind of fun sayings like, one is you're talking rubbish, and I cannot pronounce it in Gaelic, but, and then the other was may peace prevail on earth. So that was another inscription. And then the other one was may you have a long life. So, and this mural was in a dining room that was shaped in an octangle, and they had a round table.
Yeah.
So, and
the room was actually constructed for the mural, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. And that was just a great piece to do. That has actually had some press from the Scottish Land Trust USA, and then it went over to, I think, Electric Scotland online. So they were very excited about the piece and bringing a piece of Scotland here to the United States. So it was a really fun and very significant piece for me to paint. I really enjoyed that a lot.
And that must have been one of the more challenging pieces, right? You painted these panels, and then they all had to come together. Did it come together, or did you have to take a little paintbrush and fix the edges?
Well, actually, a lot of the pieces that I paint, I can paint it, but there's a lot of supportive staff that helps, and it's not staff, but a lot of important people between family, friends. My husband Bob, he's a huge help. I would never be able to.
Oh, you're married?
Yeah, yes. And that's funny, John. Don't give me. But so now you made me lose my train of thought. That's all right. I'll keep on going here.
You're doing fine.
So yeah, and I have also a person that travels with us when I have canvas installations. But this particular installation, there were a wonderful carpentry crew that they actually built all the panels ahead of time, and then they brought them here because this is actually had been my art studio for really large pieces, and I work in the back a lot and just kind of spread out. And then they magically, after I finished the individual pieces, they loaded them up very carefully and brought them back to the job site and installed them, which was quite a feat because they were all made out of wood panels to really kind of emulate the ceilings in Scotland in the castles. And so they put them back and then did the finishing pieces on there. And then I went back on the job site for about 3 weeks on scaffolding that was pretty high up, and then standing on a stepladder, and did the scroll work on the beams and around the bottom, and then did touch-ups then.
So you had to overcome this fear of heights before you could even...
Yeah, it took me about 3 days, and then grabbing onto the scaffolding really tight, my hands really sweaty, but it...
now it's fine.
Yeah, I got used to it.
You could do anything.
Well, I've been up high before, but it takes me a couple of days just to get used to the height, and then I'm all right, I just don't even think about it. But that is definitely a challenge sometimes, is different positions hanging off huge ladders and
Now, how do you generate this sort of work? Is a lot of it word of mouth, or are you, you obviously have a website, and
right.
But how do you?
Actually, when I first started, decided I wanted to be a mural painter, I just really wanted to do it, and I was so excited about it. I would just tell everybody what I was doing because I guess I was just so excited about it, and that's how it happened. It was just word of mouth. And to this day, that's basically how I get most of my
What was your very
work.
first mural?
My very first mural was, I think around 1995, and it was kind of interesting. My daughter was in high school at that time, or just getting out of high school, and she also loves art, and she was painting a lot of murals in her high school, and some lady asked her to paint a mural for two of her children, and they were fairly large murals and two different subject matters. And then she said, "Mom, will you help me?" And so I said, "Sure." And so that's how it kind of began in a little way. And then after that, a business had asked us to paint a mural, so we kind of collaborated on that piece. And then from there, she went to college, and I just continued painting.
Now
So
you
it
have
was
two
great.
children, and they're
Yes.
both very artistic, and they are branching into a new venture together, which is very exciting. Tell me a little bit about that and about
it
their.
is.
Tell me about Jesse's woodworking and boat building.
Right, yeah. Well, both of my children grew up here in Londonderry and went to school here. And they're both artistic in different ways. My daughter went to art school in Boston and then traveled and had this whole other business where she would design things. But now she's returned back to Vermont, lives here in Londonderry. Well, actually Landgrove, but works in Londonderry here. And then my son, they leave home and then they come back, as they say. And
that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And so he actually went to boat building school in Maine to build wooden boats and loved that. So that's definitely his art, working with wood and just the beauty of it and that sort of thing. So and now they've created and just starting a new family business building Vermont farm tables and handcrafted from all local wood. And it's just starting to be launched, and it's very exciting, and they've included all of us in different components of it. And
they did a wonderful photo shoot up at the farm the other day, which was a lot of fun.
That was so exciting.
Out amongst the cows.
And I think just living in Vermont for me it's just so beautiful, and it just brings out this creative lifestyle. So and no matter what kind of work you do, flower gardening, farming, it's just
now
great.
We casually mentioned your husband, Bob,
Yes.
who is a good friend of mine. And he is a wonderful artist in his own right. And it amazes me the diversity of things that he encompasses. He's a wonderful guitar player. We play a lot of music together. He's done ironwork. How did you guys meet? When did you meet? And tell me a little more about all the things that he does.
Yeah, he's really very talented, like John, like you were saying, in so many different areas. A lot of how we actually met was at a picnic in South Londonderry. I guess I don't travel very far, but it was fun. That's why I don't need to travel very far.
Everything happens here.
That's right, and I just love it. So, but. And so we just started talking about children's books and art and kids, and I was working at Montessori school at the time, and 3 days later, another lady that works there called and said, "Kim, you have a phone call," and it was Bob calling to ask me out to dinner, and so that's sort of how it happened, and then we just have hung out ever since, and it's been really fun. So, but we have a lot of things that we love to do together. We go out plein air painting, which is painting, taking your easel and just finding some spot and just in the evening, before the sun gets too low, and painting our first thing in the morning. And so we did quite a bit of that. We were married at St. Gaudens in Cornish, New Hampshire, he's a sculptor, an American sculptor, and they have beautiful gardens there. So we decided to get married there. So it's just been kind of this wonderful intermixing of arts and just really enjoying it. He also loves to read, so sometimes in the winter he'll sit down and start reading some of Dickens, or especially around Christmas and first thing in the morning when we're drinking coffee, and it's been just wonderful.
Yeah, very sweet.
Yeah.
You guys have one of the most wonderful relationships that I know of.
Well, thank you.
Tell me a little bit. We are in the gallery here
Yes.
in the shopping plaza in Londonderry, and we'll take a look around at some of the things here. Tell me about this. It's a sort of an artist cooperative, or how would you describe it?
We're definitely a group of local artists, and how this actually happened was I was painting a mural at Northshire Bookstore, the upstairs mural in the children's section, and that was painted on canvas. And I needed a huge wall to paint it on. And so I was desperate to find a place. And so I asked Bobby White, who's a shop owner here, the plaza owner, if he had a space. And I was thinking, oh, just in a storage room, anything, or if there was other things in there. And so he said, well, there's this space available. And so there's the wall there that it all started on. And so I wasn't planning on having a gallery or artist cooperative or anything like that. I just needed a place to paint a very large mural. And then everybody, when I was painting it, would be coming in and visiting, and artists came in and said, oh, what are you doing? And are you going to open up a gallery? And I was like, no, I'm just painting a mural. And so it just like one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. And then
And what year
friends,
did that start?
2010, because this is our 4th year here, which is amazing. And then I kept on actually getting other larger commission pieces that I really need a very long wall for. So it worked out really well. And then we'd have a few artists, and basically we're just an artist group. We're not, it's a showcase for their work, and we work as a group together to support each other. You know, to have fun. Mostly we just have a great time. It's a great group of people.
And there's a huge variety of things. Tell me, there's cut paper, there's photography, there's...
Yeah, we have, what's really great about this area is that there's so many people that have this little tiny area here that have so many talents, and they do different types of work, and they have a huge passion for it, and they just love it, but they didn't really have a showcase that they could just put their work up and rotate it in or out, or have special shows or that sort of thing. So there is quite a variety. So when somebody comes in, there's usually something for everybody, you know. And
tell me a little bit about what there is here. I see, looks like some felted wool over there.
Yeah, that actually that is one of our artists. Could I say names?
Yeah.
Oh, Mona McGreevy. Yeah, and that is actually a new media that she's doing with felting. It's very exciting, and as you can see, she's a very exciting person because most of her artwork is like
very colorful.
Very colorful, and some of it's abstract, but she takes wool and actually creates these beautiful paintings by a felting, and they're large. And she's actually from Sweden originally, and she's lived in the States for quite a while. So you can see a lot of the color palette choices are just so bright and happy, and so it's exciting. And
very distinctive styles for each of the artists.
Yeah.
You have somebody that does Zentangle. Tell
Yeah,
me about
and that's
that.
Jane McCougler. She does Zentangle, and she's a master. She just brought in this walking stick just yesterday that she had done, and it's just really a great form of art. I actually have taken classes with her, and I just really enjoy it because it really brings an awareness of all the lines and shapes, and it kind of, I'm so used to having everything planned out, and you know, when I'm doing a mural, before I start painting, I always have a composition that I work with. But with the Zentangle, it's just fun because you just add to it, and you have
You
no
work
idea
off it.
where it's going.
Yeah.
And it's just very relaxing, and and it makes you have an appreciation for so many different designs together and shading and that sort
How
of
many
thing.
different artists are represented here?
We have 14 artists here, and jewelry people, oil painters, plein air painters, botanical, illustration person here is Lynn Fear, and she does a beautiful job as well. Just, you know.
Do you have more artists that would like to participate? Are you?
We
Do you have a turnover of artists? Or?
The turnover is not very great, and which is, I think, a testament to how everybody gets along, and they just really feel very much that this is their showcase. So it's very much a part of them. We're always open to have new artists join us, of course.
Have you ever thought of
Anytime.
expanding?
No, no. We like to keep it just quality, small, and keep it simple. That's basically, I think, the most important thing with anything is keeping it simple, because if it gets too big or it gets too crazy, and then you don't enjoy it. So
now I know something that you've struggled with. This has been your workspace, as you said, and it can be very distracting because so many people want to come and see the famous Kim Ray.
Well, it can be a little challenging at times. When I have a deadline, especially, I mean, there's certain parts of being a mural painter that are challenging, and that's one of them. If I have a deadline, I really need to kind of get the work done. At the same time, I'm always so excited to share what I do or to share the other artists' work as well, so that they can get excited about
It's a wonderful
arts
way
and
to
art.
draw people into the gallery.
Yeah, it is.
And do other artists use this space to work in?
They do. Actually, we've reconfigured the gallery over the last couple of months so that we can have more workshops and more workspace. So a lot of times we have fold-up tables here and in the back, so that the artists can actually work here, and if they're gallery tending, which we all take turns gallery tending, they can share the workspace and kind of leave things under the table if they want, or on the table if they're coming in, say, for a few days in a row or whatever. And it's fun for them too, because they get to share their process. And to me, being an artist is not just the product, but the process is the most important part, because that's what is so exciting, is seeing what happens and how you do it, and learning different techniques. And I think
there are classes available for children and adults and almost anything you could imagine.
Yeah, the artists actually teach classes on the things that they do, the different techniques and medias that they use with people, and they're usually posted here at the gallery, or you can go on my website and see different classes. And we're actually working on getting our website just for our artist group too, the Mountain Painters and Artisans. And so that's almost getting there. It's about halfway done.
What about the larger picture? Artists, is there an art guild in Vermont? And I know every spring there's an annual open gallery or open studio weekend.
Right. Yes. We participate in the Open Studio Weekend, and it's Vermont Open Studio Weekend.
That's typically Memorial Day?
Memorial Day, and then they have one on Columbus Day. And so sometimes we do it twice a year. Last year we just did it once. We did it the year that we had Irene, and that was a little challenging, just getting all the materials and getting people to Vermont after Irene. But I think it's totally getting back to normal, as far as everybody coming back and the galleries and that sort of thing, which is good news. But and we do a lot of art shows, and we try to, now that we have the space open, we're also incorporating a lot more kind of music events, or if somebody wants to just give an art talk or that sort of thing. And basically it's a space that we really want people to feel they can use in any creative way they want, and it's fun just to have a place to do that.
Well, it's a wonderful, wonderful addition to the town.
Well, thank you.
And there's so many creative people in so many different mediums around here.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that we casually play a little bit of music, and I'm hoping we might play a little tune this morning to share with our viewers.
Okay, that's
And
great.
not that we're particularly talented, but it's just part of the fun that we have in this community. And you guys are a huge part of drawing people together, and not only this gallery, but the music and the events that you do. You're both you and Bob turn up everywhere throughout the community for different events, and you're very supportive, and it's very much appreciated. I'll touch on one other subject that I was thinking of. You have been always very good about including people from the community in works that you do. You recently did a mural in town that was of a barn dance. And
Right.
Tell me a little bit about what was the inspiration for that, and
Well,
how did that come about?
I was asked by members of the Historic Society, Bob Wells in particular, if I'd be interested in beautifying kind of downtown Londonderry with a mural piece, and I said, of course. And so I was trying to think, we both were thinking about, and also working with the person that owns the building, Butch Jelly, of what would be appropriate and what would be exciting and fun, and kind of keeping with the Vermont culture and heritage, which I always really enjoy doing through my mural work. And then after going up to Taylor Farm to all the barn dances and all the events up there, that's become just a really great, passionate part of our life. And so just to kind of share that fun and excitement that we have, we decided on barn dance, and which is really fun. And so we incorporated quite a few people from the community in it. My husband Bob's playing the guitar, Jon Wright's playing the fiddle, and then we have a few other people that the lady from Thrifty Attic, her name's Edith, she's one of the older folks in the mural. The little girl, we all say that she's Emma. My step-grandson Sebastian, he's one of the little boys sitting on the hay. And then it's really funny because then other people will come and say, is that so-and-so? And I say,
Right.
yes, that's
Yes,
who it
absolutely.
is. Yeah. And then this Bruno says, oh, that's going to be me in 10 years. So it was really fun. So everybody could really relate to it, and just really enjoy it. And it kind of preserves that tradition of Vermont, a little piece of Vermont in that time period. Also, we still have barn dances now, but it's really part of living here, and how people get together and celebrate and just have fun. So that was a fun piece to do.
Do you have some other things in the works now that you want to talk about? Some projects that are coming up, or?
Well, I do have a couple of, actually I have a few jobs that are just at the very beginning stages, where we're working on proposals and that sort of thing. One's a public piece that I can't really elaborate on right now because we haven't got to that point yet, but I'd be happy to share it at another time. And then another private mural. Actually, there's about 3 different murals that I'm working on at the very beginning stages of proposals. I'm working on a few smaller pieces at my home studio right now. There's a mural that I'm doing for a business in Manchester. It's kind of a triptych, and it's a kind of it looks a little bit Japanese. It's a feng shui kind of mural for prosperity. So that's probably why I have the 3 other murals coming in. But it's a really nice piece. That actually should be completed this week. And then I've actually had this year quite a few really fun furniture pieces. And one was an armoire that was painted in a folk style from the, believe it was the late 1800s European, and it's actually what they call a farm peasant style, where the figures are actually farm figures of men and women working, and so I painted that on the doors and then antiqued it. So, and that I'll have a photo of on my website soon. So, and then a couple of other furniture pieces. It's kind of interesting. They kind of come in cycles where I'll have 3 furniture pieces, and then I'll have, 3 murals of the same subject matter. And
So do you ever have a day where you wake up and say, God, I don't know what I'm going to do today? What?
no,
You haven't had that experience?
no, not for a while. Yeah.
What's
So-
the biggest mural that you've done? Well, what's the biggest and what's the most challenging?
Well, I guess you could say one of the longest murals I ever did, and it wasn't necessarily height-wise, but the longest I actually have done. I work with a miniature train maker who is in Baltimore, Maryland, and it's CMR Railroads. And we actually connected through this job through a homeowner in Manchester, Vermont. And he was having a train built, a miniature train built. And so I'm not exactly sure how he got my name, but he called up and said, would I be interested in doing a miniature train backdrop, hand painted? And I said, sure. So that was another kind of interesting job, because I had to do buildings and paint scenery from that time period and a certain season, and to an HO scale.
Oh, wow.
And then the measurements had to be exactly precise with the person that was doing the train. And so the scenery had to line up and coordinate with everything. So he sent up to scale sketches of where the placement had to be, and then I came up with the composition. And so we've collaborated probably on 3 jobs now, 3 or 4 jobs. And so those are actually been my longest jobs, because some of them can be sections of 80 to 120 feet long.
Oh, wow.
And then they take them and then install them. Similar to this process here, where you install like wallpaper on canvas. So,
Yeah.
so that's been actually one of my longer jobs. I think one of the biggest jobs I had probably was up at Stratton in the garage. I think that was like 10 by 30 feet. And that I painted on location. It was just an outside in one of the lower levels. I painted that mural there, and that was another kind of wildlife Vermont landscape. That was a fun piece too.
Sounds like it would be great to have a walking tour of Kim Ray murals. Do you have a brochure of?
Well, I actually, it's funny that you said that, because somebody came in when I was painting and they said, do you have a tour of your murals? And I said, well, I don't really have a tour, but I have quite a few public pieces that I've painted in southern Vermont that you could probably go see. So from there, I just made up a little flyer that says self-guided tour. So when people come in, they really ask for it quite often, because if they have guests from out of state that come up, they like to go, and if they happen to be in Manchester or,
Sure.
especially want to see one piece that I've done, they take the paper and they just travel and throughout, and they get to see different pieces that I've done. So that's
Nice.
worked out fine.
Kim, thank you so much. We're running a little short of time, but I want to present you with a little wedge of our Taylor Farm cheese. And I'm wondering if there's any particular dish that you might be able to cook up with this cheese. I know you're cooking.
Well,
you're renowned for your cooking. Do you have any thoughts on what you might prepare?
I don't know, John.
An omelet?
I might bring it up to your house and have you cook for me. How's that?
All right. We
No,
can do
this
that.
looks great. Thank you so
You're
much.
very welcome. And could we play a fiddle tune or two together?
Sure, that sounds great.
How about Angeline the Baker?
Angeline the Baker, I think I might know that. It sounds great.
How'd I do, T?
Dee